channel. Today is a very exciting video because we are doing some Christmas baking. Now we're gonna make at least 3 to 4 recipes today, and these are our family's favorite. So if you make any of these recipes, your family or guests are going to go crazy because they are the ultimate comfort Christmassy sweets that everybody loves, and these are just the best recipes out there that you need to make. I got my Christmas sweater on today, so I am ready to go. We had some Christmas music on. Me and Reese are here. She's gonna help me, and I can't wait to start and show you guys everything that we're making today. As always, the recipes will be linked in the description box down below, and let's get started. As you guys can see right here, I have my sourdough starter. I have worked on this for the past, I'd say 4 to 5 days. It is bubbly. It overflowed last night, so it is ready to use, and we are going to use this bad boy to make sourdough cinnamon buns. Now, I don't know about you guys, but cinnamon buns are, like, to me, the ultimate winter comfort dessert. They are so delicious. I feel like pretty much everybody loves cinnamon buns, and when they are made from scratch, they are the best. This is a very easy recipe. It is not hard at all. I will say, if you obviously don't have a sourdough starter, I'll leave an alternate recipe down below, and these are ones that I have made many times, and they are incredibly delicious. So you don't have to have a sourdough starter, but if you happen to, it just makes them a little bit extra. So that's what we're gonna do today. So the first thing you're gonna do is get your food scale. If you don't have a food scale, I highly recommend getting one because it will just keep your measurements 100% accurate. That's okay. So if you don't have a food scale, you can use, convert it to cups, but you really should be using a food scale. So the first thing, I'm following the recipe on my phone here because I haven't made this kind before. So the first thing we're gonna do is pour in 325 grams of water. So now that I have 325 grams of water, we are gonna add 150 grams of our starter. So I'm just gonna take a spoon. It's hard because it's really sticky, but I'm just gonna plop some in there. Like, it's super sticky. Then we're gonna pour in 20 grams of olive oil or avocado oil or vegetable oil.
I dump it.
You dumped it. And you're gonna need 25 grams of honey. So now that that's all in there, we're gonna whisk this up, and then we're gonna add our bread flour. So now we're gonna add 500 grams of bread flour. Need to grab my other bag. I just had 500 grams. So now that everything is in here, we're just gonna use our hands and combine it till it gets to be a dough consistency. Okay, so while we are waiting for the cinnamon bun dough to rise, it has to rise for an hour, we're gonna start with these amazing 7-layer bars. Your guests are gonna go nuts for these. They are so delicious. I'm really excited. So you're gonna need a 9x13 pan. We're gonna put half a cup of butter in the pan and let it melt in the oven for a little bit. Place it in our 9x13 and put this in the oven at 350 just for a couple of minutes to melt the butter. Okay, so now that the butter is melted, we're gonna add 1.5 cups of graham cracker crumbs. You can just eyeball it if you want to. Next, we're gonna layer some butterscotch chips right over top. As much as you want. Dark chocolate or milk chocolate chips. You could even use white chocolate, whatever.
Chocolate box?
Yeah, whatever kind that you want. You can have some here. So next I'm gonna sprinkle on some crushed pecans. You could use walnuts if you want, or whatever nut. That one's too big, so I'm gonna eat it because I love pecans. And this is actually brain food. Like, it's so good for your brain. It's a healthy fat, so makes you feel a little bit better about eating something like this when there's something relatively healthy in here. Now the recipe doesn't call for this, but I think it would be yummy with coconut. I love coconut, and I just think it gives it a nice sweetness. I don't know. I mean, it's already pretty sweet, but I just think this will be delicious.
I don't like it.
You don't like coconut? Reese's like, I don't like coconut. You don't like it?
I don't like it.
Oh, that's okay.
I don't like
Then
it.
you're just gonna take your can of sweetened condensed milk, and we're gonna sprinkle it over the walnuts
I want it.
and coconut.
Can I try?
I think it's the whole can.
Can I try how can?
Not this, honey. This is kind of tricky. Good job, Reese. Good job, my little helper. Then we're just gonna place this in the oven at 350 for 25 minutes, roughly. You guys, my house smells amazing. So this is what it should look like. And then once it's cooled, we can cut it into bars, but you see how many bars this would make? Like, you get at least 24 out of here, which is awesome. And it smells so good. So now we are back to our cinnamon bun dough. We're going to sprinkle half a tablespoon of salt onto this and then mix it in, and then we're gonna cover it and let it rest for another hour, I believe. Salt into the dough. See the consistency? It's really like stretchy and sticky. That's the consistency that you want. And then we're gonna let this rest for another 30 minutes. I like to give it a good little smack. So next we're gonna be making hot cocoa cookies. These are perfect for the winter season. So if you're like me and you love hot cocoa, which I do, these cookies are gonna be your jam, and your kids are gonna love them too because they have marshmallows in them and sprinkles and some drizzled chocolate, and they're just delicious. So let's get going on those. So the first thing we need to do is melt half a cup of butter and semi-sweet chocolate chips, about 12 ounces of chocolate chips. You can do this in a saucepan over the oven, or I just like to do it in the microwave because it's easier. So for this, I'm actually gonna be using these Score toffee bites just because I think it would be delicious. You can use milk chocolate, you can use dark chocolate, whatever you prefer. I just think this will be really good. So I'm gonna use this to melt into the butter. Microwave, and I'm just gonna do like 20 seconds at a time and then keep stirring. It's starting to melt, but I'm gonna have to do, maybe I'll do 30 seconds this time. Now we're gonna do the dry ingredients in a separate bowl while that cools. Half cups of flour. Then we need 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. We need 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa. 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and just mix that together. So next we're gonna mix up 1.25 cup of brown sugar with our eggs and vanilla. Spoons of vanilla extract, and whip this up. So it's all creamy. We're gonna mix in the toffee and butter mixture just until combined. We're gonna slowly add in the flour mixture until it's combined. So just do a little bit at a time. You guys have to make it with the toffee chips. I know it's hard to melt and it doesn't fully melt, but it mixes in really nicely. Like, look at, and it tastes so good.
Mommy.
So we're just gonna scrape down the sides and cover this and refrigerate it for an hour. Now it is time to work and roll out the cinnamon buns because the dough is ready. So I just have a 1/3 cup of melted butter, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of cinnamon, and this is gonna be the filling. So you're gonna add your 2 tablespoons of cinnamon and then 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Then we are going to roll out the dough into a rectangle, put the filling in, roll them up, and bake them in the oven. Flour the surface. So I'm just gonna spray some coconut oil just so it doesn't stick, and we're gonna roll it out into a big rectangle. So this is what your dough should look like. Sticky, runny, wet feeling. You don't wanna over knead it, but that is roughly what it should look like. Now you want to push down so that you get all the air pockets out. Brown sugar, and just sprinkle some more over top because who doesn't like extra brown sugar? So now it's time to roll. So we're just very carefully lifting and rolling. I have so many air pockets in mine. That's okay. Try and stretch it out a little bit. So you should be left with a big, beautiful looking log. And then we're gonna cut it and put it into a baking sheet, into rolls. So it looks like that. And then we're gonna place them face up in the pan. I just kind of like cut and then roll it over so it doesn't get stuck. It was so much work, and that made 8, but that's okay. So we are gonna let this rise on the counter for about an hour. So now, while the cinnamon buns are resting, man, that was a lot of work for 8 cinnamon buns, but that's okay. I'm gonna freeze them and we're gonna have them Christmas morning, so really excited about that. But I have preheated my oven to 325 degrees. Our cocoa cookie dough has been sitting in the fridge for 1 hour, so it's just that nice kind of moussey consistency. Roll the dough into balls and place them on the parchment paper. Definitely wet your hands, because if not, this is just gonna stick everywhere, and yeah, it's just not gonna be good. But this dough tastes so, I did taste the dough, because who doesn't taste cookie dough when you're making cookies? I definitely do. Flatten them slightly. I don't know if a spoon is a good idea because it's sticking too much. But just like flatten them a little bit. I'm gonna use my finger to see how sticky this dough is. So I'm just like trying to be careful. Just slightly flatten them, and we're gonna bake this for 12 minutes, although these are really fat cookies. Like I said, I like big portions. I made bigger cookies, so it might have to go longer than 12 minutes, but we're gonna try 325 for 12 minutes. Okay, how bomb do these cookies look? I am so excited. So I'm gonna take a marshmallow, half the marshmallow, and push it down in, like halfway on each cookie. Oh my gosh. Comment below how many of you want to jump through your TV or your phone screen, wherever you're watching this, your computer, and grab one of these to eat. Like, oh man. They look bomb. Okay, so the cookies are done, and I'm just gonna take this colored red icing. This does call for like a chocolate icing. Hold on a second, I gotta loosen this. A chocolate icing, but I don't think it needs it, honestly. Hold on, I gotta open this. Why is it so hard for you to come out? Hard to squeeze out. I'm like struggling so hard. Okay, so I did some red and some green, and I'm just gonna sprinkle and lightly with some red festive sprinkles and call it a day. How good do these look? Okay, so it's 5:45 and I'm now doing my cinnamon buns. So they were in the fridge for an hour for a cool rise. I have the oven set to 400 degrees. And at the bottom I have a large pan half filled with water. So you're gonna put the cinnamon buns in here for 10 minutes and then we reduce the heat. Okay, so I reduced the heat to 350 degrees. It's weird that you can't see that, or it's going all funky. 350 degrees for 20 minutes. Ignore, I'm making salsa verde. And I kept just a couple for the kids and Colin. These are the extras of the bars. These are what the bars look like. And they taste amazing. They are rich, but my goodness, they are good. And these cookies not only are just really beautiful and soft and chewy and just delicious. It tastes like a brownie, honestly, with like the toffee bits. And some of them you can see here have the toffee coming out. Oh man, they are so good. So I'm gonna vacuum seal these and freeze them. If you don't have a vacuum sealer, I highly recommend one. They keep your cookies super fresh and it keeps longer in the freezer and holds in the freshness. So I highly recommend.